Hi everybody, it's Barbara and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are creating 10 tier tray decor DIYs using mostly items from Dollar Tree. Make sure to stay tuned to the end so that I can show you how I used these items to decorate 2 of my tier trays. For the first project, we're going to use this picture frame from Dollar Tree, as well as one of the square wood planks that you can pick up in a package of 6 from Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut that down to 3 inches and then use some sandpaper to sand that down, emphasizing on those corners where I just cut so that I can round those off just like the other 2 corners already are. Then I will sand the picture frame as well because it had this sheen on it, and I want to make sure that my paint's going to adhere to this really well. Using the Waverly White chalk paint, I'm going to give the picture frame itself 2 coats and then the wood plank 1 coat. Now I did make sure that I painted the entire piece front and back, and the wood plank the front and all of those outside edges. Taking the part that came out of the back of the picture frame and using some of this scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, I'm going to line that up to see exactly where the design is that I want to use, and then I'll use my paper cutter to trim that down to size and attach it to the top of this sign with a nice even coat of Mod Podge. Then I can just place my scrapbook paper on there and press it down nice and firm and make sure there's no air bubbles or wrinkles. Set that to the side and allow that Mod Podge to dry. Using the straight edge of the wood plank piece that we just cut off, I'm going to clamp that to the painted piece so that I can use this as a guide to place my stickers on there. These stickers I purchased from Walmart in a package that has 6 sheets. They have gold, silver, and black, and I believe it was maybe $5. I am spelling out the word Farmhouse at the top, and then I'm going to spell out the word kitchen underneath that. So again, I use that wood plank as a guide to be able to get my letters to go straight across. Now I didn't get the word kitchen centered, but that's okay, it still looks really cute. I went over these stickers with Mod Podge to seal them in and make sure that they're not going to peel up later, and then we can put our backing back into our frame, and then we can center the farmhouse kitchen portion of this project right into the middle of the picture frame and secure that with some hot glue. And this turned out super cute. I really like this tier tray decor. Let me know what you think of this project. For project number 2, we will be using one of these wood round hanging decor pieces from Dollar Tree. After removing the hanger, I'm going to take some abrasive sandpaper and really go around those outside edges to smooth those down, and then give this 1 good coat of the Waverly White chalk paint on all sides. Using some of these rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree, I'm going to use the word family off of one of those packs, and then I will use some of the designs off of the other. If you've not used these before, you just peel the backing off of the rub-on transfer and then place your wording or your design wherever you want it to be. And then you use something flat like a card, or in this case I'm using my Cricut tool, to kind of burnish over top of the plastic to get that transfer to stay in place. And then you can peel the plastic portion off the top of it, and then your transfer is right there onto your item. And once I get this done, I'm going to take a ruler and a pencil because I wanted to give it a little bit of a design on the front right over top of the word family. I'm going to draw a straight line and draw another one right below that, and then use my oil-based black Sharpie marker to go over that to kind of just give it a little something extra. Now the Sharpie marker is a little bit darker than the transfer itself, so I am dry brushing some white chalk paint over that just to help it blend in. Using a piece of jute rope, I'm going to fold that in half and take the center portion that I just folded and feed that through the hole, and then take the 2 end pieces and go through the loop and pull that down to create a hanger, and then I could tie the 2 loose ends together in a knot. And then you could hang this up or set it on your tier tray, but either way, I think it turned out very beautiful, and I just love this piece as well. So let me know what you think of project number 2. Moving on to project number 3, I love this project. This turned out so super cute. Using some of this buffalo check fabric from Dollar Tree, as well as the Dollar Tree cutting mat and the Dollar Tree roller. This is the first time I've used this cutting roller, and it worked out perfectly. I'm going to cut this down to a 6 by 6 inch square, and then I will take that piece and line it up on top of the fabric to make sure that my designs will match each other. And then I'll cut that second piece down to a 6 by 6 inch square. I'm also going to be using a piece of white scrap fabric that I just had on hand, and I'm going to cut those two outside edges to get a nice straight line, and then I'll cut this down to 4 inches by 2 inches. Taking the two buffalo check print fabrics, I'm going to face them together, so you want your design laying on top of the other design. And this buffalo check is perfect because it has these straight lines, so it was really easy to use as a guide to add my hot glue all the way around. So I'm just going to glue those seams together on the outside edge, and I'll do this all the way around the entire piece, except for one side. You do want to leave an opening so that you'll be able to fill this with your fiber. So on the last side, I'm only going to do the outside edges and leave the center open so that I'll be able to fill that with the polyfill. Now you do want to make sure that you let that glue set up before you turn it inside out. Before I turn it inside out, I am going to cut the corners off just so that it'll give me a nice clean look when I turn this inside out to turn into a pillow. And as I'm turning this inside out, I do make sure that I push those corners out really well, so that when I put my polyfill in there, it will be nice and fluffy in the corners too. So once I get this flattened out, I'm going to take a piece of wax paper and set my white fabric on top of that, and again use my oil-based black Sharpie and handwrite the word faith. Now you can write whatever you want to on there, but I'm just going to handwrite the word faith on there, and then also create some dots all the way around the outside perimeter of this fabric to make it look like it has stitching on it. Then I can take a piece of that wax paper and insert it into the pillow, because when I glue the white fabric on there, I don't want it to seep through and glue the pillow together. Placing the white fabric right in the middle, I'm going to go with a very thin bead of hot glue all the way around all 4 of those edges, and then allow that glue to set. Then I can remove the wax paper and fill this with some polyfill. Again, you want to make sure that you push those into the corners really well. And once you get enough polyfill in there to make the pillow nice and fluffy, you can close the end up by just pulling those 2 outside edges that you already glued, and then put a bead of glue right there at the edging, squeeze those together, and let that glue set. And this is so stinking cute. I don't know what it is about minis, but they are just, I love them. And I love how this project turned out. Let's move on to project number 4. Now, I do not know who started this. I have seen a couple of creators create these and use these wooden crates to make them look like stacked books. If I knew who originally started this, I would most certainly give them credit. So if you know, let me know in the comments down below. But I thought it would be cute to create a stacked books using this crate, and I painted it with the Waverly White chalk paint. And then I'm going to use some of those rub-on transfers again. Now this first one, some of the ink from the transfer didn't want to stay on my wood crate. It actually came off with the plastic, so I just took a black ink pen and filled that in because the lettering was kind of thin. I'm also going to use some of this buffalo check ribbon. It's wired edged, and this actually came from Hobby Lobby when they were having their ribbon on sale. And I thought that it would be really pretty to place over the top and also to cover up the handles on the sides of the crate. So I attached that to the inside with some hot glue, and also glued those outside edges, pulling it really tight to make sure that it was going to be a nice tight fit and that it would stay centered and stay in place. And then I could attach the other end to the inside of the crate, just like I did on the other side. I'm also going to use some jute rope, and I just pulled out enough so that I would have 3 strands. So it would have 3 strands going across, but I only kept it as one piece. I didn't cut it into 3 separate pieces. And I'm going to attach this just like I did with the buffalo check ribbon. But as I'm going through, I'm also trying to make sure that I keep these 3 strands straight and not crisscrossed on top of each other. And make sure that you pull it tight so that it will stay in the center and it won't be really loose right there in the middle. And then I can attach that on the inside handle just like I did the buffalo check ribbon. Using some stems from a eucalyptus pick. Now this came from Walmart, and I'm just going to cut a couple of those off and hot glue them down right under the jute rope. I thought it gave it a really pretty touch, and I love the black and white with the pop of green and then that little bit of brown. It turned out really pretty, and I just love how this project turned out. I know I keep saying that I love each one, but I was having so much fun making these that I almost had to just make myself stop making all these little mini DIYs. So for this project, we're going to use one of these chalkboard easels from Dollar General for $1. Now, if you can't find those, you can use one of the mini picture frames from Dollar Tree and paint the insert. And I'm also using some of these white stickers from the Crafter Square section. I don't even know if you would call this a DIY. It was so easy. I just placed the stickers right in the middle, and now you have this cute little sign that you can display just as an added piece to your tiered tray. You guys, if you are new to my channel and you are enjoying today's video, I would love for you to click that subscribe button and the notification bell so you will be notified the next time I upload a brand new video. And also visit me on my social media accounts as well as my website. Let's get started on project number 6. Using one of these jumbo craft sticks. Now I picked this large package up from Walmart, and I'm using my handheld miter shears. I picked these up from Amazon. If you are interested, I have this listed in my Amazon store. They were $15, and they do really well on soft wood. I just cut the 2 rounded pieces off and then took sandpaper and sanded those edges down nice and smooth. Gave that 1 coat of Waverly White chalk paint. And again, I am going to use some of these rub-on transfers as well as some of these pretty greenery rub-on transfers. Both came from Dollar Tree. I cut out the word Forever Thankful, and I am going to attach these just like we did previously on the other DIYs. Now this one, some of the word thankful didn't want to come off of the plastic. Well, it didn't want to come off and stay on my wood. It stayed on the plastic. And because these letters were a little bit thicker, I used my oil-based Sharpie to fill those in. Then I cut a couple of those greenery branches off and applied one to each side. Now, because I didn't have it completely centered, I am going to cut that edging off just so everything will be nice and even. And you'll also want to make sure that you paint that end piece that we just cut off when you get done adding some Mod Podge. So I did feel like I needed to put some Mod Podge on there since it kind of wanted to stay on the plastic. I was afraid it was going to come off of my project. Using 2 of the tumbling tower pieces, I painted those white as well as the end that we cut off. And this is going to create the stand for the back of this project so that it will be able to set up really pretty on your tiered tray. And I just used some hot glue to attach those to the back at the bottom. And I think this one turned out so super cute. I love it. I love the saying on it. I love the little designs. Let me know what you guys think of this project. For project number 7, we're going to use one of these wooden plaques from Dollar Tree. Now they're pretty rough, so I did make sure I took my sandpaper and went over that, especially those outside edges where it was cut with like a router, and sanded those down nice and smooth using a wet baby wipe and some Waverly Antique Wax. I'm going to carefully go around the outside edge of this sign as well as the back of the sign. So I just like to apply my wax, then use the baby wipe to wipe some of it off to lighten it up and to kind of blend it in. And I'll do the exact same thing on the back. And you're going to want to let that dry before you add any paint to the front because you don't want to smear your wax where you're painting. You could do the entire piece in one color, but I kind of wanted that two-tone color. So for the top part of this, I'm going to give this 2 coats of the Waverly White chalk paint. And again, allow that to dry. While that's drying, I'm going to use some of these puffy letter stickers from Dollar Tree. Now these have a little bit of texture to them, and I love the way these turned out. So I'm going to go over these with 2 coats of the Waverly White chalk paint and then let that dry completely before I go over it with some of the antique wax. And I'm going to put 1 layer of the antique wax all over it and then kind of smear and dab that with the baby wipe. And then let that dry. Now I just used some of the Dollar Tree clamps and a ruler and kind of clamp that on my sign so I would be able to get my letters to go straight across. Line those up, and they are sticky, but they're not sticky enough to stay on there by themselves. So I am going to hot glue each one of these down in place. And this little sign is so adorable. I love that brown and wood. It's so farmhouse. I think it's so cute. And I love the way the antique wax brought that texture out on those letters. So let's go ahead and get started on project number 8. Another very easy project using one of these signs from Dollar Tree. I'm going to give that part of the sign 2 coats of the Waverly White chalk paint to cover up that design that was on the back, and then 1 coat on the inside. I'm also using from Dollar General this chicken ornament. I think I picked it up back at Christmas. I'm going to pull the ribbon off the front and then cut that hanger off. And again, so easy. I'm just going to hot glue this right into the middle of the sign. And this just goes with my farmhouse theme with the brown. And I love that metal, that corrugated metal on it. It turned out so cute. And I think I paid $1 for that ornament. So let's get started on project number 9. This really cute mini ladder using one of these wooden dowels. They're 12 inches from Dollar Tree. You only need to use 1. I know I'm showing you 2 here, but you could use the extra one for the pieces in the middle of the ladder. I'm just going to use some of the scrap dowel pieces that I already had on hand. I'm going to cut that 12-inch dowel in half so you'll have 2 6-inch pieces. And then I cut the pieces that go in the middle of the ladder. I think I cut those 2 inches. No, 2.5 inches. Once I had one of them cut down to 2.5 inches, I'm going to use it as a guide to cut the other 3. And then I just lined that up to my ruler. And the bottom one, I think I went 1 inch above the end of the bottom of the ladder. And then the top one about 1 inch, and then kind of evenly space the 2 middle ones. So I'm marking on that outside dowel so that I can take the right side dowel and make the exact markings on that one so I'll know where to glue these middle pieces to. So I'll start off just by placing one at the top. I'm not going to glue that in, but just kind of keeping it spaced apart at the top. I'll put some hot glue on the end of those dowels, and then I can line them up perfectly right where I made the markings with the pencil. Then you want to remove any of your excess glue that you might have on there before you paint it or stain it. Using 1 piece of this eucalyptus, I'm just going to pull one of those little branches off and kind of insert it together, and then take a couple of leaves off of another one to hot glue right there where that bare spot is where the 2 pieces meet. And this is going to make a really cute green wreath for this mini ladder. Taking some Waverly antique wax, I'm going to give this ladder 1 coat. And I actually didn't wipe any of this off. I just liked that dark brown on there. I'm going to create a hanger for our wreath using some jute rope, just folding it over and feeding it through the center of the wreath, and then taking those 2 end pieces through that loop. Then I can take those 2 end pieces and tie it to the top centerpiece of the ladder. And I'm just going to tie a knot. You just want to see how far you want it to hang down. And once I get that knot on there, this little cutie is finished. I love how this one turned out. It is very simple, but it is so cute and so adorable. And I don't know what it is about tier trays. Everything's just so cute. So for our final project for today, we're going to create this cutting board using some of those jumbo craft sticks. Again, these came from Walmart. You're going to want to pick out 3 straight pieces. And then I measured from the center at the top down, I think it was 8 inches to create a straight line across the bottom. And then 3 inches from the center at the top to create a straight line across the top. Then I just free-handed a curve from the center craft stick out to the corner, and I started to try to cut that with my scissors, but I need to sharpen my scissors. They're pretty dull, so I ended up using a box cutter or utility knife to cut that curve out, and then I can sand that down. Take that piece and flip it over onto your other outside piece so that you can use that as a guide to create the curve on that one, and you'll have 2 of the exact same pieces, and everything will kind of look well together when you add all of these together. So I just wanted to make sure they line up and the curves are lined up really pretty and look good. Now I could cut the straight edge on all 3 of these pieces using those handheld miter shears. And then line them back up together. I wanted those top little pieces to stick together really well, so I'm using some hot glue just at that top, where the top line is, up to the top peak that we cut. Then using some regular craft sticks, regular like popsicle sticks, I'm going to cut the rounded edge off, see about how long I need it to be so that I can put 2 of these across this board, one at the bottom and then one at the top where we drew that line. And I'm just going to add those on with some hot glue. Again, you want to make sure that you sand it down and get any of the excess glue off before you paint or stain, whatever color you decide you want to do it. And I did have a little bit of glue seep through where I tried to glue those top corners together. I decided to paint the handle as well as the center with some Waverly White chalk paint, and I also painted the back of this piece too because I like everything to be finished and to have a finished look. I used the antique wax on the 2 outside sticks, and again I kind of left those a little bit dark. I'm also using one of these laser wood cutouts from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go over this piece with the antique wax. Allow that to dry, and I did go ahead and create a little circle at the top with the antique wax just to make it look like a handle. Then we can hot glue this laser cutout in the center, and how adorable is that? It turned out so cute. You guys, if you have a favorite, I would love to know which one is your favorite. Please let me know in the comments down below. There are so many different ways that you can use these to style your tier tray. If you are interested in seeing how I created or built this tier tray as well as the next 3 tier tray that you'll see, I will have both of those videos listed in my description box below. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time.